The definition of chauvinism is the preponderance of men respect women, sometimes defined by feminist movements as the attitude and sexist learned practices which have been taken on in pro of the maintenance of social orders in which women are submitted or discriminated.
Sometimes we can see chauvinism in the limitation of the access of women to university, culture, or management positions, trying to refuse that women think, dress, or act like men does, and it considers women as a sexual object for men's needs.
We consider that the most of Chilean has the belief that women are less important, intelligent, or able than men. That's why we think that it's part of our identity to be chauvinist and think that men are superior to women.
If we consider the differences that we see every day between men and women in Chile, we can note that women are usually discriminated at jobs like earning less money than men and working the same. Sometimes we still see the old way of thinking that some people have about women and his duty in the society, thinking that she must be in the kitchen, cleaning the house and raising the kids.
And the worst thing is that sometimes women classify themselves as that, maybe because they are afraid of a men's society or because they were raised as that. This last point is something that we would like to discover on this documentary. How can we stop chauvinism?
Do you think that Chile has a chauvinist society? Why?
Happens. I mean, chauvinism is very. You see the presence of chauvinism in Chile is quite popular, I think, in my opinion. You will see that, for example, regarding the salary of men and women. Men usually earn more money than women, as you know. On the other hand, you could see that also women usually tend to develop this kind of, how you would say, culture, I think. What I try to say is that, for example, women tend to think that they are in charge of the kitchen most of the time, which is not true. I mean, nowadays we try to have split tasks between men and women. But in the past, and especially old women, they think that men have certain kind of tasks that they can only perform, in contrast with women.
I think most of men think that women are in a lower state than them. But in the society that we live nowadays, this thing must change because women every day get new challenges and they conquer many things, and I think men are getting the way that women can do many things as them, and I think we are in a very good path to get the equality.
How do you think chauvinism is affecting Chilean society?
But that's a very complicated question. Let me think. Well, it's affecting first of all in the way you see women and men. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing. And on the other hand, I would say chauvinism is affecting Chilean society. Wow, that's a very complicated question. I mean, there are many arguments for that.
I think at home. I think at home, it's most common, mm-hmm. because at work, in workplaces, I think we have the same actions, the same development, and we can share many things at work. But I think at home we have the most biggest problems, because men think that they are superior than women. But I think in class way, I think women in lower money, who has less money, I think they have the whole rules at home. They can put the rules because they have the money. They put the money on table. When women work, I think it's different.
What is the role of women in the construction of identity in a chauvinist society?
Especially in children, I think. Yeah, because if women try to teach men when they are children to behave in a certain way, that would affect them when they grow up. So if they apply these chauvinism thoughts to their children, the same children will grow up and then apply these thoughts to women.
Oh, I think it's very important, because women raise children. They are in charge of their growth, and I think women have the most responsibility in growing men as chauvinists.
How would you advise a woman that suffers from chauvinism?
Her is just live on your own way.
I think I would tell her that, first of all, she has to be very, very sure about her condition, because being a woman nowadays, it is so important, because we have the same rights as men, and when a man shows this behavior, it means that he doesn't have a very good insurance in himself, and I think she has to show she is a very secure woman, and she has to do her work at home, at work, and I think if we, as women, we give a lot of attention to this point, we will never change this matter.
To advise the person to interact, to integrate with other women and have some societies, some organizations, some social clubs, and interact and discuss these issues of sexism among women only. Yeah, not to include the men immediately, because they're going to mess up. Even if the man says, oh no, I support the women, but no, I think at initial stages, they must not come to that meeting. That meeting should be for the women to discuss their problems alone. And this woman can be a member of that organization. Yes.
Why do you think chauvinism is still present in a modern society?
In our daily routine sometimes, you know, when usually women, they are the ones that must be in charge of the kitchen, or men, they are the ones that must bring the money to your house or to your home. I mean, they have, or they need to have certain responsibilities, and these responsibilities they don't go together with your gender. It doesn't mean if you are women or men, you just have to do what you need to do.
I think because we have our growing was like that because our mothers were like that, and men were raised like this. If you have a family, for example, with a boy and two girls, the girl has to do the work at home, and mothers used to say, no, you have to do it because he's a man. Okay, and when mothers taint this behavior at home, I think we are going to taint our society. If we give no matter if you are a male or a female, the responsibilities at home, we are going to taint this thing.
The people in our country, in Chile, are so much afraid of change. So if they have a law or a constitutional legislation or anything, they will be so afraid to change it. So when it comes to sexism, if they want to change and make some kind of modification in their behavior and their ways of life, they feel so afraid to do that because of their very conservative society. They believe that things shouldn't change so much because they might get bad, you know. So because of this, they're holding back and they're not going forward to change things, including sexism as well. So it's not only sexism, but there are other things that need to be changed. But the people are so afraid of doing this, they have to hold back because they're a very conservative society and they're feeling that, oh no, things have always been like this. Why should they be changed? So they will just want to continue the same way. And this gives problems to the elite population, maybe a minority of people that are more progressive. So why don't you change that? Why don't you do this in a different way? No, I've never done it before. You know, it might get worse. You know, this is the problem also with sexism. If they want to change it, they are pulled back by their conservative nature. They're a little more conservative. They're afraid of change. They think things should be different from the way they used to be.
To close.
After we have done the interviews, we can conclude that we are still living in a chauvinist society, in which women are less considered than men. But in the interviews, the people said that was necessary to make a change from the women and the raising of the child in a new way of thinking, a non-chauvinist and discriminatory one. But the people who have been interviewed told us that chauvinism isn't like it was before. The difference in salary and work in Chile have changed since 50 years, but the duty at home haven't changed at all. It is still a woman's job to raise the kids, cook and clean the house. In our group conclusion, we think that women are in good path to get a new opportunity of equality, because they are losing the fear of getting involved in economical, political and social life.